Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting Mac Whisperer live broadcast. I'm of course Frank, your host for today, and as always, it's amazing to have you here with us. I'm going to ask you, have you ever lost your iPhone, misplaced your AirPods, or spent hours searching for your keys? Or maybe you want an easier way to keep track of your family's devices. Once again, today's your lucky day because we're diving deep into Apple's Find My app, exploring how to locate lost devices, track AirTags, and keep your Apple gear safe. Whether you're someone who misplaces things, or you want to be more prepared, this app is a must-know tool. Stick around for the Mac Whisperer tip, the game-changing trick that'll take your Find My experience to the next level. And don't forget to stick around for the smart guide. Always a download for everybody to share with your friends, and we make that available to you, our live viewers. Let's do it. Introduce yourself in the chat. All you live loungers, let us know where you're at. Tell us where you're watching from. Drop a comment. And one thing you've lost recently. It'd be interesting to know. Let's make this session as interactive and as fun as always. So we're going to master Apple's Find My app, AirTags, secure your devices and data, and we'll get a power tip and Q&A. So get those questions prepared. We'll put them in the chat, and as always, we do our best to answer everybody's question. So let's bring the man we're all waiting for. Without further ado, the Mac Whisperer himself, Dylan Stewart.
Great to have you all here again today. Really looking forward to sharing this info. This is one of those apps that can just save you when you're in a crunch. And the problem is when you're in that crunch, you're flustered and you're like, I lost my phone, I lost my this, I got to get it. And you don't take the right steps. So we want to set you up to win here by teaching you how to use the Find My app and even how to use it if it's not your phone. So we got a lot of great tips and tools in here, and I can't wait to share them with you guys.
What are we doing first?
Yeah,
Teach everybody a little bit.
You want to jump right into the, we got people coming in. Let's go ahead and jump into the share. Let's get ourselves started.
All right. We're doing the iPhone, of course, right?
That is correct.
All right. Bring it up. Boom.
All right. So before we start screen sharing and showing all the separate pieces of the app, let's just talk about the app for a moment here. Find My exists on every Apple device. It makes it easy for you to locate the people in your life, the devices that you've got shared with your Apple account, and any items that you can add into your Apple account. We'll talk about all of those pieces. You can share your location, you can request locations from other people. But the real key happens when you lose your device. Because when you lose your device, I can't find my phone, you're scrambling around to find it. Sometimes it's so simple. It's in the house, you know it's in the house, and you pick up your wife's phone and you call your phone, but your phone is on silent and you can't hear it. Find My was designed to solve all of those problems and to make it super, super simple for you to get your phone or other device back in your hand. And it's easy to use. And again, to be clear, it's already on your devices. You don't need to download it or install it. It should be on every one of your devices. And it looks just like this. I got the right color there. Oh, I got to change that from red, Frank. No one's going to see that red. Let's put a white on there. Okay, here we go. So this right here is the Find My app. And as I said, it's pre-installed on all of your devices. So I'm just going to get us warmed up here and give us a very basic overview, and then we'll dive a little deeper, and then we'll go deeper than that. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. When you open up Find My, there's 4 separate tabs across the bottom. The People's tab is for anybody that's in your family. If you have a family share, they're automatically added into this People section. But you can also request other people to be added. During this call, I'm going to add Frank to my People list here and show you guys how to do it. To the right of that, we've got our devices. Every device that is logged into your Apple account or your family's Apple account will show up here. So here you'll see my phone, a couple of my other phones, my watch, AirPods, etc. As I scroll down, you'll see my son's devices, or my wife's devices, or my daughter's devices. Each of these are automatically set up, but the person doesn't have to share their location. So my daughter doesn't really like me knowing where she is. So you'll see that everything here is set is not sharing location. There's no problem. You have the control, or rather, the person who's sharing the location has the control. So if they don't want to share their location with you, they don't have to, but they're automatically going to get added to the section if they're part of a family share. Devices are all about Apple devices. So whether it's an iPad or a MacBook or your phone, they're going to show up in this section. But the items section is really, really valuable because it can be used for all sorts of other devices. A little bit later in this call, I'm going to show you how to add an AirTag into this items section. That's where AirTags go, into this section, not the devices section. And that can be helpful because you can label them in a way that you can't with devices. Devices are labeled by the device. It's your AirPods. Done. But items, because an AirTag can be put in your purse, in your suitcase, in your backpack, in your favorite jacket, they need to be labeled separately so they show up as items as opposed to devices. And under the Me section on the far right, you've got the ability to turn on or off your location and as well to set up location via satellite if you're heading outside of a normal cell phone area. Also, whether you get notifications or not. Little preview of what we'll get into in a little bit later. Down at the bottom of the Me section is the Help a Friend section, which is essential if someone loses their phone and comes to you and says, I need to track my phone, how do I do it? The Find My is made for you to track your devices. So if you need to track a friend's device, you've got to come into this section over here. So regardless of which of these three we're trying to track today, your people, your devices, or your items, there's lots of tools that we're going to dive into. But before we jump straight into that, Frank, why don't we step in and go ahead and share about our YouTube membership?
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's growing. Incredibly great to see. I think you're doing something sweet.
Yeah, I'm going to talk all about that. Go ahead and pull up the QR code. So, there's a lot of different ways that you can work with me. There is the watching my YouTube videos, participating in these live streams. I have a membership, a monthly membership that you can join to get classes like this on a regular basis. But the lowest bar, the easiest way to both work with me and also support what we're doing here, creating videos that give great information out to people all over the world, is to join as a reoccurring subscriber to our YouTube membership. You can do that by clicking on, is there a code for it? You can go to the channel and click the join button. Frank dropped it into the chat as well. You can also scan that QR code, it'll take you right to the page. The YouTube membership starts at 99 cents a month and goes up to $20 a month. And there's a lot of little perks that come with that. If you look in your chat, you're going to see a number of people with little apples to the right of their name. Those are all current YouTube members, and they get special perks like seeing my videos before they're released to the public, being able to request future videos, and also getting shout outs. Herman, Bonnie, Manny, Mark, love having you here. Thank you for being here. Pez, welcome once again. I can see who the members are, and I'll always spotlight them. But the biggest perk of being a YouTube member is the members only live broadcasts that I do once a month. The next one is this upcoming Saturday. So if you're not yet a member and you'd like to have a live broadcast like what Frank and I are doing, but much more intimate with more ability to ask questions and get personal information from me, ask anything that you need, join as a member and then you'll be able to join the live stream. It will be 12 p.m. on Saturday Pacific time, and it'll run for approximately an hour. Unlike the broadcasts that we do for the public, those are just made for the members and made to be really, really easy for you to get into. So if you're interested in doing more with me, that's the easiest way to do it and to support what we're doing. Last thing I'll say about that is I have a full-time job. I work really hard on tech support for hundreds of people in the Los Angeles area and all over the world through remote administration. Being able to do more YouTube videos and create this community has been a dream of mine for years. It's a dream that's finally coming to fruition because of people like you and people like Manny and Mark and Herman and Marion and Bonnie and all of these members. If you'd like to support my dream, hit that QR code, hit the link in the chat, become a member, and help us make more videos like this. That's what you got.
Great.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to now take a little bit of a deeper dive into each of these sections, and we're going to start in the people section here. Again, people are automatically added if they're a part of your family share, which means that they show up right here, easy for you to find. And if I tap on my son, for example, it'll show me exactly where he's currently located, and the good news is he's still at school. He has not skipped out from school. He's where he's supposed to be right now. From this page, if you swipe up, you've got all sorts of options. You've got the ability to contact that person, get directions to where they are. And let me tell you, I've had my son is awesome, but he doesn't always know the address of where his friends' houses are. I don't even ask anymore. I come in here, I click the directions button, and it guides me to where he physically is, whether he actually told me the address or not, which has saved my butt trying to track him down in a busy mall or at Disneyland. Super easy to do. In addition to that, and this is something I just discovered today, which I think is really cool, is the ability to add notifications. So if I click here where it says add under the notification screen, I can create two different kinds of notifications. Something that will notify me or something that will notify the recipient. If I click notify me, I can choose to be alerted if he leaves school early. I can set all kinds of different permissions on this, and I can give very specific when he leaves, when he arrives, when he's not at school in the middle of the day, I could get a notification. And this is a really great thing for parents to not be overly clingy with your kids, but make sure you know where they are when they're not where they're supposed to be. In addition to doing the notify me, you can also notify the other person, letting them know like, hey, I know you're not at school. Just for clarity, you should probably get back in class. And it's a really easy thing to be able to do. From this same screen, you can also stop sharing your location with the person if I don't want my son to know where I am, or I can remove him from my people section right from here. As you work with people, it's really helpful to be able to have that location on. My brother is notorious for telling me he's on his way and then showing up 3 hours later. So I like to know when he's actually on his way, and I can do that. You can see he doesn't even share his location with me regularly, so it's constantly an issue. If you want to click this plus button up here, it's going to give you some options. The first one is you can share your location with someone who's not on your list. The second one is that you can add a MagSafe accessory, which means one of the accessories that tags onto the back of your phone, such as, I'll show you right now, I have a smart wallet that counts as a MagSafe accessory, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. And you can also add an AirTag or any device that is compatible with Find My, and there's a lot of Find My devices. If you've got one of those tile locators, you can now click Add Other Item, and you can find that tile and add it right to Find My, so you don't need to use the Tile app or some third-party app. Now, if you want somebody else to share their location with you and they're not currently on your list, it's easy to do. Come into your text messages, find that person, there's Frank right there, and click on their name up at the top. When you click on their name, it's going to give you the option right here to request location. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to send that let's try that again. I'm going to send that location request to Frank. I'll just click send right here. He should receive it almost instantaneously. And when he does, and he clicks on that link, he's going to be given several options. Frank, tell me what those options are again.
Just take myself off mute. For 1 hour, I can share my location. I can share it till the end of the day, and then indefinitely.
Okay. So when you're trying to get your husband or someone who's some reason not sharing their location with you, they can either set it for a temporary location share, an hour or a day, or a permanent one, which means you'll always be able to track them in the future. So Frank, go ahead and accept that so that we can take the next step, even if it's just for an hour. I don't really need to know where you are all the time. As soon as Frank accepts that, we'll get an alert both on our phone and other devices, as well as in the Find My, letting us know that Frank is now sharing with us. We'll go back to Find My while we wait for Frank to put the pieces together here. And we're going to move over one slot to devices. Devices, again, is where all of your or anyone in your family shares Apple devices can be found. So here you'll see my phone, which is useless because I'm already on my phone, so that's not really helpful. But I can also come down and I can find my iPad. If you click on any one of these devices, it will show where it is on the map. You also have the options to play a sound in case you can't find it. Let's see where that iPad is. Beeping? It's not beeping yet. Oh, that's the old one. There it goes. There it goes. Thanks, guys. You helped me find my iPad. Once you find the device and you log into it, the alarm will stop going off. If you've lost your device, in other words, you play the sound and you can't find it, and you're looking on the map and you're like, where the heck is that device? Or you see it driving down a freeway and you're like, oh my God, somebody swiped my iPad. You can come into where it says lost mode. And lost mode can give you additional options, such as a message you can put on the screen of your device saying, call me at this number if you find this device. You can also lock it so that if you don't use the 4-digit or 6-digit PIN on that device, it'll turn that on so that the other person can't get into your device. And you can put on other tools as well here, including leaving a message or notifying when found. In addition to that, down here we've got this section called notifications, and this is really important. A lot of people don't understand how this works. If you leave your house without your device, you can be alerted about it. And you see right here where it says notify when left behind. So if I click on that option, I can choose, if I leave my iPad at home, don't notify me. I don't bring it with me all the time. But if I'm out of the house and I leave my iPad, I want you to notify me as soon as possible. And that notification pops right up on your phone, right in your notification center, and lets you know, hey, you left your AirPods behind or you left your iPad behind. If that alert is bugging you, and with the AirPods, it's a little finicky, and some people are like, dude, I just left my AirPods in the car for a second. I don't need to be notified. You can simply uncheck it by turning that off. And that'll make sure you aren't being alerted. You can also add any other location like, hey, don't alert me when I leave it at work or when I leave it at the office. By using this little circle that you see, you can make the alert faster. This is 300 feet, or I can make it bigger so that it doesn't alert me until I get distinctly out of the way. It's really more helpful to keep it as small as you can so that you don't get out of your block and out of your neighborhood without your AirPods or your other devices. I'm going to click the cancel button here and the done button there. So within every device, you have that ability to ping it, to mark it as lost. You can even erase it right from here if you need to. Especially helpful if that's gotten lost and you don't know where it is. Now, I will say one thing, and this is a really, really important piece. I see this done wrong 98% of the time. It drives me crazy. If you don't name your devices specifically, you won't know which iPhone that is. I was with somebody who had 9 old iPhones, all called iPhone in this list. And when she went to go find something, she was like, is it this one? Is it this one? Is it this one? Is it that one? It's really ineffective. You can't change the name of your devices from here. You have to go to the device itself. And it's really, really easy for you to change the name of any device. We're going to call this a MacWhisperer pro tip because I'm shocked at how many people's iPhones are called iPhone. Why does it matter if you have an iPhone called iPhone? Well, any thief who looks on AirDrop and sees a phone labeled as iPhone knows that you have not set things up properly and can target that phone. Having a phone called iPhone in a room of other phones called iPhones makes everything complicated. So to rename any device, go to that device. Go into the settings section on that device. Click on the general section. Go to the About page and go ahead and change the name up at the top. You can name it anything, just don't name it iPhone or iPad. Give it some specifics so that you know which device it is, so that when you're looking for that specific device, it's clear. and you're not playing guessing games. Because when you're flustered and you've lost your iPad, the last thing you need to know is where your 2010 iPad is. Yeah, it's in a trash heap. I don't need to track it any, it's done. This is a really easy thing to fix, and I see it done wrong more often than not. So this is your reminder. Take a look at your name settings for every one of your devices and make them specific. Either the name of the device or some clever name that can help you know, oh, that's my current iPhone, not the one from 3 or 4 updates ago. Frank, did we get you set up? Oh, look at that. Under the people section, you see this nice little friendly number 1? I'm going to bet that's Frank.
That's
Let's
me.
click right on our people section. That's Frank. And right here it shows Frank is sharing his location with me. Would I like to reciprocate? Yeah, you might as well. I'll click the share button right here. I'm going to share for an hour. That's going to share my location with Frank, and he will now show up in my map as it gets him all set up here. And if I want to know where Frank is, there he is, home in New Jersey. Easy for you to do. And anytime you want, you can stop sharing your location or remove Frank so that he isn't sharing his. You have the complete control over that. If the person set it up on a 1 hour or 1 day timer, it'll remove itself when that's done. If you go to like Disneyland and you want to make sure the whole group stays together, everybody should share their locations. Then you can find people and you're not like, well, which ride are you standing in line for? Like, no, you're at the Matterhorn. I'm going to go meet you there. It's easier. All right, so we talked about people. We've talked about devices and the different options that you have. We're now going to head over to the items section. The items section is specifically for AirTags or other location devices. So here I've got a brand new AirTag. AirTags cost about $25. You can get a 4-pack for $100. It is rumored that they're going to update the AirTags like immediately in the next month or 2. So if you have not bought AirTags, you may want to wait until the next release. I personally am super happy with the first generation, so I have a handful of them, and I use them on things like my bike, my purse, my jacket, all sorts of things. What should happen is when you bring your AirPod close, let's see if I can get it to work here. Hold on. I'm on Do Not Disturb, so it's not wanting to find it. There we go. There it goes. So when you bring your AirTag close, it should ask to connect it. You can click that connect button right here. Oh, well, that's not helpful. That one's got low battery, but trust me, if it wasn't low battery, when you click that button, it adds it in and you can give it any name and you can also change the icon. I'm going to come into the Dylan's backpack here and just show you that I can come click rename item. It gives you a whole list of options to rename it. You can also create a custom name down at the bottom. In this case, I want to leave that on backpack. And in most cases, the pre-configured names have their own icons that go with it, making it easy for you to see what that device is. And they've got a good list of pre-names. The custom name is also helpful, and you can come and bring your own emoji into that custom name if you want. So you have all the choices you need to create your AirTag and save it so that you can always find whatever that device is easily. If you find somebody else's AirTag, it'll show up here and you can actually find the contact information of the other person and communicate, hey, I found your AirTag. Last thing I want to say about AirTags, and this is a really, really important piece. There is a setting under notifications, and I may or may not get to it. We'll see if we have time. If you have that setting on and you're traveling with a stranger's AirTag, it will alert you that there's an AirTag in your vicinity. This is important because in the beginning of AirTags, thieves were like dropping AirTags in people's cars and in people's purses and then following them home. And this will let you know, hey, somebody's AirTag is nearby you. I had a client that was taking an Uber ride home from the airport, and they kept getting this alert again and again and again, and they asked me what the problem was. I said, well, the Uber driver had an AirTag. Oh, so don't panic if you see that, but recognize that it's telling you there's some device in your area that is tracking its location, and your location might get combined with that if you're not careful. I don't worry too much about it, but it is important to know that you have that capability of turning that on and off. Lastly, in the AirTag section, you'll see this Share AirTag option, and that's new with iOS 18 and can allow you to have one AirTag shared with multiple members of your family. So if you've got an AirTag that's in, let's say, an important box of memorabilia, and you want to make sure that everyone in the family knows where it is in case of an emergency, you can simply click that Add Person button and share your AirTag with anybody that's an Apple user. And that makes it easy for them to also track that purse or handbag or jacket or whatever it is you put the AirTag on. There are a ton of AirTag accessories that exist that can allow you to put them onto keychains. I've got one of the keychain ones right here. There are ones that exist for putting them onto wallets. There are even luggage that comes now with a special area for you to lock an AirTag inside of so that you can track that luggage wherever it goes. Lots of ways for you to make sure you can find your stuff. And as I said earlier, it doesn't have to be an Apple AirTag. It can be a tile locator, or I've got this cool wallet by a company called Journey. It's a MagSafe wallet. It works as a kickstand, which I think is really cool, but it's got a built-in AirTag system, so I can easily find it anywhere I need right here. It's showing that it's outdated because the battery's low, but otherwise it would work perfectly. Battery charged up for us. Okay, and those are the pieces of how to do AirTags and other items. Don't forget the little plus button right here, which can help you out to add either a MagSafe accessory like this wallet or any other item. When you click on it, it will search around for that item, and when it finds it, it will allow you to add it right into your Find My. So that's the basics of how to get around and how to deal with a lot of the separate pieces. We're going to talk in a few minutes about what to do when somebody else loses their device or when you lose your device and need somebody else's help. Before we do that, Frank, let's hop on back to our QR code. I think it's a good time for us to share our smart guide and talk about membership.
Yeah. Let's talk about membership first. I'm excited about the next piece because I can't tell you how many times my wife had to call her.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and bring up that membership QR code, if you will. Now, I don't want you guys to get confused. I know we just talked about YouTube membership. That's different. The word membership is a generic word, so I'm sorry. YouTube membership, $1 to $20 per month, gives you access to custom live streams as well as early access to videos and other perks like that. But if you want to take your Mac knowledge up to the next level, get yourself caught up and learn how to use these expensive devices, the single best way to do that is through the classes that I run as the MacWhisperer Academy membership. And the MacWhisperer Academy membership provides two 2-hour classes every month on a new technology topic, as well as 2 Q&As every month where you can ask any question and get your biggest tech problem solved by an expert. For anybody who goes to the Apple Store regularly and is bending the ear of the friendly Apple genius, you've probably learned that most of those geniuses aren't. You know, when Steve Jobs was creating the Apple Store and the marketing team was like, we should call it the Genius Bar, he was very upset with that name because he looked at them and he goes, how do you quality control for geniuses? And the answer is, you don't. You just call them geniuses and you let the customers assume that they know what they're talking about. They don't. A lot of my biggest jobs have come from an Apple genius who did something stupid. If you don't want to be making those mistakes, if you don't want to be watching 1,000 YouTube videos to figure out how to do something, consider joining the membership. There's a 30-day free offer that's on right now. You can get that from the link or the QR code. And our next class, we have classes on Fridays and on Saturdays. Our next class is, when's our next class, Frank?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific time. So if you are interested in exploring what I do when I'm actually working with clients in a real interactive way, if you want to ask different questions, if you want to meet other people just like you who are struggling with tech and dedicated to making it easier for themselves, check out this 30-day free offer and join us tomorrow. I'd love to see you. We will be talking all about how to use the Mac tomorrow. It's our focus for this entire month. We're teaching people the basics of key codes and window management and how to get around on that new computer easier. So that's the Mac Whisperer membership. I would love to have you guys there. We've got several members that are on this chat now who came in on a 30-day trial and just stayed because they recognize the value and how much easier it makes it to learn how to use your technology. There is a billion pieces to Apple technology, whether it's learning how to do iMovie or understanding QuickTime better, whether you want to master notes or master reminders or get more done. There are so many topics that I could have a class every day for 8 hours every day and still not get caught up. How are you doing it? Let me help.
It's great. And we only make that 30-day free available here.
Yep, it's the
Put
only
my
place that exists.
I put my email in the chat because I do invite people as my guest to the classes. So if you want to reach out to me, check one out and see what it's about. I do offer a couple of slots. Let's bring up the PDF Smart Guide today.
Yep.
Here we go.
I want to, while you're showing this, I want to talk about the smart guides for just a second.
Yeah.
We've gotten so many requests for smart guides, and what we're starting to do is in the next month, we'll be adding smart guides to many of my prior videos and also future videos, maybe not the day they get released, but we'll be adding smart guides across the board to all of those videos to make it easy for you guys to learn how to use your stuff without watching a 20-minute video to get all the pieces of it. But if you're a member of my Mac Whisperer membership, you have access to all of the smart guides in one place. We're in the middle of building that page out for the members. But if this is what you're here for, it's another reason to come join the membership because you have access to all of them. And this library of smart guides is growing fast. And we're excited about where we're going with it. So if you're looking for more of these smart guides, you may want to consider coming to class tomorrow and seeing if the membership is a good fit for you.
Beautiful.
Okay, I think that's good.
Get you back to the phone.
I'm excited, Frank. Do you look at the clock? Do you realize we're actually going to have time for questions if I don't run off at the mouth for 20 minutes here?
The only other thing I want to say about the membership and the classes, I enjoy them. I enjoy this as well, but I really like the classroom surrounding because we're in Zoom, right? People are in there. We call them up to attention. They ask their questions. We're interacting. Very different than the experience here. So again, my email is out there. If you want to be invited, pop me an email. I think you guys are going to love it. I wanted to say that because I really enjoy the Zoom atmosphere.
Yeah, it just adds an extra level of intimacy and connection and community when you can see people's faces and they can ask their questions live. I absolutely love doing these YouTube live broadcasts, but it's not really the full experience of what you get working with me, and that's what Frank's talking about.
Cool.
All right. So, you lost your phone. That sucks. Too bad there's not a tool to make that easy for you. If you or anyone around you loses their phone, the very, very, very first thing you want to do is get to a device. Now, when I say device, what do I mean? I mean literally any device. If you're in a hotel, go use their business center. If your wife's got an iPad, grab the iPad. If you've got a spare phone or if you've got a computer, get to a device. On a non-Apple device, you're going to go to iCloud.com. On an Apple device, you're going to, if you have a family member nearby, you can skip this step because you can click right on Find My on their account, go into People and find your stuff. Go into Devices and find your stuff. But if you don't have anyone else that's around you, oh, that got stuck. Get out of there. If you don't have anyone else that's around you, the way for you to do it is to go to iCloud.com, or if the person that's near you has an Apple device, open up Find My and come down to the Me section here and scroll down to the bottom and click where it says Help a Friend. That's automatically going to open you up to iCloud. Be aware you will need your Apple ID, email address, and password in order to log in. I know that for some reason this is a password people don't just know offhand, and it's caused all sorts of problems. I strongly recommend of all the passwords to memorize. And I know Listen, if you think you've got a lot of passwords, I've got thousands of passwords I got to keep track of for me, for my entire family, for all of my clients. I have systems that can make it easy. But if you don't know your Apple ID, email address, and password, you're going to get yourself stuck and frustrated because I can't find your device without your Apple ID and password. If you're not sure what your Apple ID and password is, start by going into settings on one of your devices and click on your name at the top. It will show you right under your name what that Apple ID email address is, making it easier for you to at least know what the email address is. If you don't know the password, reset it and then write it down. Nobody on this call, nobody that I talk to should not know their Apple ID offhand because it comes up all the time. And it frustrates people when it does. So we're going to assume that I know my Apple ID information. And I'm going to click the sign in button right here. In this case, because it's on my device, it already knows my sign in information. If you click where it says use a different Apple account, it's going to open up this screen allowing you to manually type in your address. So in this case, I'm going to type in my spare phone's address. We'll get that signed in through my RoboForm account here. And all of a sudden, I am inside of this other Apple ID account, not my personal one, but my spare one. And from here, I can find any of the devices. So if I want to find where Reginald's phone is, Reginald is my alter ego in case nobody's picked that up. There's no real Reginald Stewart. He doesn't exist. If I click on Reginald's phone right here, even though I'm not on Reginald's device, I can click play sound, and his phone, which is right here, will start buzzing and binging and letting me know where it is. There are certain steps that you want to take when you lose your phone. The first one is see if you can locate it by doing this. I can see physically where that actual device is right now. If it's in an uncommon location like, hey, I left it at the restaurant or I left it in my friend's car, call your friend, take care of it. Playing the sound will also alert anyone that's nearby that there's a phone in their car. If you've ever lost a phone in an Uber, it can be really hard to find it, but by clicking that play sound button, it's going to alert the driver there's something in the car, and then you can leave a message for him. Coming here to where it says lost, you can then turn on lost mode. Lost mode locks the phone. Again, this is in case you don't use a PIN code for your phone. Frank, if you don't use a PIN code for your phone, you should. It's really, really, really problematic if you have no protection on your phone. I know Frank knows this. I'm sharing this with you guys. Don't not lock your devices because then they get stolen really easily. And if someone gets into your Apple ecosystem, they can cause all sorts of damage. They can grab your credit card information, all sorts of stuff. So I strongly recommend making sure you're using a PIN code on your devices, including your watch. I know that can be annoying for people. Super, super, super helpful. Assuming that you click the lost mode, it will lock the phone and you can then put a message that's going to pop up right on the screen of the phone. Remember, a stranger is not going to be able to unlock your phone and find out your home information and call you. You need to tell them. So you can leave a message. Little pro tip here, don't leave your phone number message if you're trying to find your phone. Leave your wife's phone or your friend's phone number because otherwise they can't call you. You don't have your phone. I know that's obvious, but I've watched people do that. I'm like, guys, how are you going to get that call? When you click that next button, it will go ahead and lock it and mark it in lost mode. Now let's assume that you've marked it in lost mode, but it's still not showing up. And in fact, you're watching it drive down the 405 freeway on its way to Mexico, where it's going to get chopped up and sold for parts. You can then click where it says erase this device. I'm not going to do it. I don't want to actually erase my device, but it will allow you to wipe your phone the second it connects to the internet, which can make it really, really easy. That thief opens it up, and before they can even do anything, it wipes itself and it becomes a brick. Back when the iPhones first came out, iPhone theft was like huge. People were stealing iPhones out of people's hands on a regular basis. It's more or less stopped happening because of the Find My tools that can allow you to completely lock that phone and turn it into a brick. When it becomes a brick, they can't do anything but bring it into an Apple store to fix it. When they bring it into the Apple store, the Apple employee will say, looks like this was marked as lost. We'll be keeping it and getting it back to its original recipient. And that's the end of the story. So use the Find My tools immediately. Don't call me when your phone gets lost. Go into Find My, track the phone, play the sound, mark it as lost, and if all else fails, click Erase this device. Now I've got one more pro tip here before we head into questions, and this pro tip is a critical piece of this entire puzzle. What happens when your phone battery dies? Can it find it? Well, that depends on this setting. So I'm going to go back into my settings section here, and I'm going to go into, I gotta remember where it is in this moment. Sorry, so I'm going to go into my name here. I'll go slower, moving quickly. Come into settings, click on your name, scroll down to the Find My section here, and in this section, is it there? Yes. In this section, click at the top where it says Find My iPhone. Here you will find 3 separate pieces. Find My iPhone should be on. Find My Network means if you lose your phone, other people with Find My can help you locate it. Remember the lost item that we saw earlier on in the Find My app? But the single most important setting, and whether you turn anything else on or not, the Send Last Location should be a default setting, and it's not. What it means is right before the battery dies, it will mark the location of where the battery died. And so if you don't have this turned on, it will be inaccurate because it'll only have shown it before the location got lost. If you turn this on, it means even if your phone runs out of batteries, you can still figure out where it was last. Obviously, if the person's on their way to Mexico and your battery dies, that's not super going to help you because it's already in motion, but it's going to give you that extra few minutes and that extra piece of information to know where it is, even if it's in the couch cushions. And that is the basics of how to use Find My.
That was great. I always get value out of these. But I got an extra value today, which practices.
Yeah, I
And I'm
watch
going
I
to pick up
watch
some of
people
that.
lose their devices. I watch people lose their devices and then make mistakes that make sure they'll never get them back because they didn't jump on it. I've seen
Yeah.
people get off airplanes and call me to ask me what to do while the plane is now back in the air. I'm like, guys, go to Find My, find your device yourself, make it easy.
I'm replacing the QR code because
We have a bad
that's
QR code on there again.
again, listen to you. Um, I didn't have any issue with it, so I'm sorry you guys are having some problem. I switched it out. It worked for me, but there it is again. I put the
So
URL.
if anybody's still having trouble after Frank changed it, refresh the page because it might still have the old QR code information in it.
Hmm. So you can use that short URL that's there, and I also put the link in the chat, everybody. So please download
Awesome. Anybody
that.
got questions?
I was just going to say, you want to do some questions?
Yeah, let's knock down some questions. We got a good 15 minutes here. That's about as much time as we've had maybe ever.
That's awesome. Let's see. I like this story, but I just no, I'll get it back. Lynn is asking, she's paired her phone to her car and now changed the ID name. Do I need to repair? Yeah. Do I need to pair it to a car?
Absolutely not. The pairing has nothing to do with the name. However, your car may still show the old name until it syncs back up again. It should find the new name and just continue the Bluetooth connection.
Go.
Okay.
Got Mark is asking a question.
I see Mark's one here. Yep.
He's asking about
Hi, Mark. I just
what's going
talked to
on,
Mark
Mark?
yesterday, so.
Why is his iPad suddenly starting to show that he had left it behind when it's sitting right
So, as I said earlier, the notify when left behind feature can be a little finicky, and it can especially be finicky with iPads and AirPods. The reason it's finicky with the iPad is that the iPad, unless you have cellular data on, which not everybody has all the time, only shows locations when it's in Wi-Fi or connected to another device. And so when you get in your car and you're driving out with your car, it thinks you left the iPad at home because the iPad is probably asleep, not on the cellular or Wi-Fi network, and it just doesn't see it. The AirPods have the same problem because they don't have their own cellular connection. They can be connected to your computer, they can be connected to your Wi-Fi or your phone, but on their own, they don't have a Wi-Fi connection or a GPS chip in them, which means as you travel away from common Wi-Fi zones, sometimes it will think you don't have your AirPods. And then you'll open them up and put them in your ear and it goes, oh, I found your AirPods. But if they're sitting in the case doesn't have its own GPS or Wi-Fi connection, and that's why it becomes finicky. Those two things, the iPad and the AirPods, are the most finicky with leave behind, and stupidly, the most valuable as well. So even though it's inaccurate a lot, I leave it on because once in a while I do leave my AirPods at a client and I'm like, oh, let me go get those. So it's a helpful tool, but it's still a little finicky. I was talking about something else with regards to Apple recently, and somebody said, well, why doesn't it just work 100% of the time, all the time? I'm like, look, I'm going to take 98% and be really, really happy with it. Most stuff works 10% of the time. Apple stuff has some little glitches, and we keep hoping that Apple will stop making all these new features and functions and just fix the broken pieces. But Apple has change hardwired into their DNA. It's why they changed the Photos app this year. And everybody went, why'd you change it? It was perfect. I'm like, listen, let's get used to Apple. Apple is going to change things just to change them on a regular basis because it's hardwired into who they are. Hopefully, they fix glitches along the way. But right at the moment, the way leadership in Apple is directing people, new functions and features take priority over fixing old problems, and there's a laundry list of old problems. If you're having one, you can report it to Apple. The more people that report the same error to Apple, the higher up on the list it goes. But don't hold your breath. There's some issues with the Apple address book that I've reported 1,000 times over 8 years that still happen. So, sometimes you get new stuff and make it work, and sometimes the old stuff is a little clunky, like the iPad and AirPod with location sharing.
Changes an iTunes continue to drive people.
Yeah, right.
I like
I
that.
love it. I find it so funny because it's my business to understand how to use these things. So I'll go into one of these new apps and I'll be like, well, that's different. And I'll be frustrated for like 10 minutes. And then I'll figure my way around and be like, all right, I got it, and I'll move on.
Approved.
8 months later, I'm still getting people complain. Did you see that they changed that? They moved that button. They made that do this. I'm like, yeah, I'm over it now. That was 8 months ago for me.
I like Mark's AI.
Yeah, he did a good job on that.
Can
What
you
else we
find
got?
can you find a device if it's offline and powered off?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, sort of.
Hmm.
You saw that setting I put in as the MacWhisperer power tip towards the end. Going into settings and Find My on your devices, you can mark where it says send last location. If your device is off or the battery dies, that is the closest thing you can do to tracking it. If it dies and then moves into a different location, you're not going to be able to locate it, and you're better off just marking it as lost or setting it up to erase it.
Okay. Bill's pointing out something. It's obvious, but if a signal is low, is that going to deter someone from using Find My? You said the other day you ran off strong.
I mean, if you have no signal on your phone, the GPS should still work. If you're going to somebody else's device and it's got a really, really low Wi-Fi or cellular signal, it should still be able to get it. The Find My iCloud page is a really simple page. It doesn't have a whole lot of graphics and a whole lot of other pieces. So even on like 1 bar of cell service or 1 bar of Wi-Fi, you should still try. In some cases, if the Wi-Fi and cellular is terrible, there's not a lot that you can do. But as long as you have at least one bar and as long as your phone is somewhere where it can be hit by GPS, if the battery hasn't died, it doesn't matter if the phone has signal. The signal is only for the device that's checking for the other device. I think that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah.
I saw, what did I see here?
I like for
Um,
Marilee here. She's
huh,
got a couple of old iPads. I think I was going right when you went to general and started changing names to.
yep. Here's the trick. Here's the trick, Marilee. Pick one of them, open it up, go to settings, go to general, go to about, see what it's called, and then give it a new name. Remember, you can't change a device name from anywhere but the device. And in some cases, if that iPad is no longer functional and you can't find it, you can just remove it from your devices list. And you can remove things from Find My. You want to share your screen for a second, Frank?
You need the phone.
Yep. You can delete devices from Find My, or you can come into your settings section, click on your name at the top, and your devices will show up down at the bottom. Click on any one of these devices, and you can remove it from the account. If you find that iPad or that other device later and you turn it on, it will rejoin the account, but this is an easy way to clear off the old ones. In some cases, if you've got 5 or 6 or 7 old iPads on there and you really only have 2 current iPads, I would wipe everything, remove everything off of your list, grab your 2 iPads and reconnect them. And it's really easy to reconnect them. When you remove something and that device comes back online, it's literally going to say to you, would you like to add this to your Apple account? You'll click one button, it'll be right back on this device. So it's really easy to do and easy to find. Be aware, computers are very similar to the iPad and the AirPods in that they don't have a cellular connection. So if your laptop is with you on an airplane and you leave it behind at the airplane, you might have a harder time finding it than you would finding a phone because there's no Wi-Fi connection, there's no GPS connection, and there's no cellular connection. So the Find My is really made for something that is online in one way, shape, or form. And if it's not, your laptop is closed and powered down and stuck in the airplane seat pocket, you're going to have a hard time with it. Keep that in mind when you're doing stuff with your computer. It will tell you the last time it was on online, but it won't show live updating if it's off or if it's closed. So that's what I would do for you, Marilee, is I would come straight through here and clean up those names so you know which iPad is correct and make it easy from there.
I think William's asking about the battery on, from his previous question. Do you recall?
Well, I see this one here about the tag on his dog. What does he say?
I think that's a separate.
Oh, Oh, I see. I understand now.
Yeah.
So his question is that he had an AirTag for his dog, but he had a hard time getting the location, theoretically because the cellular strength is weak in the neighborhood. Let me tell you, I was at Burning Man where there is no cellular service and was able to track my bike's AirTag all over the playa. So it has more to do with the GPS signal and your range. Bluetooth range is about 30 feet. When you go into Find My to locate a specific device, and let's see if I can do it here. I'll come into, come on, get down. I'm going to come into items and I'm going to click on my backpack. You can click the Find button and the Find button will help you locate it. As you move your phone around, it'll actually give you an arrow letting you know exactly where it is, but unfortunately you've got to be close enough to it. So with the AirTag for your dog, it's less about cellular because the AirTag doesn't have cellular. It's more about Bluetooth and GPS. And the important part of that is the AirTags can be found by other people. So if your dog does get lost and somebody with an iPhone sees it and you mark that AirTag as lost, they'll get the alert on their phone even though it's not their dog, which in the case of Burning Man and my bike, saved my butt a couple of times because a friend of mine came across the bike on the other side of the playa and was like, hey, I know where it is, but it popped up on his phone, because I turned on the lost setting. So it's less about cellular, more about Bluetooth proximity and GPS. And it's an imperfect solution, but in most cases, there are other devices around that will ping your device and help you locate it. Meaning, if you put an AirTag in your luggage, and you can actually track it as it flies across the country, because inside of the plane are all these other people with iPhones, and their iPhones are able to connect to the Find My network and see that there's an AirTag nearby, which reports the location to you through that. I will say I do have an AirTag on my cat. I know that sounds stupid, but I do have an AirTag on my cat. And I have found that if he is out of range, it's not the best solution. But what are my other options? At least it gives me a way to track him, to ping it, and to get help from other iPhone users if I can't find him.
Tracking only work with
All
others
right.
who have Apple devices?
Yes. Yeah, AirTags only work with Apple devices.
Yeah, I figured that.
If you have a third-party one like Tile or like this wallet I've got, they can work with both Android and Apple devices, but the Apple AirTags were made specifically for Apple.
So I like Steven. Steven's just asking a question in general. I like that. Is there a way to increase the volume on his earpods?
I'm assuming, and Stephen, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm assuming you're asking if you can increase the volume of the beep when you ping your AirPods because you can't locate them.
Ah,
That's my guess, and I'm going to answer that question. So the AirPods got updated with their most recent version. Prior to the most recent version, only the actual AirPods have a speaker. Now with the new version, the case has a speaker too, and they've increased the volume on the AirPods themselves. So if you have an older AirPod set, that may be the reason to upgrade it. You cannot adjust the volume on the prior versions, and it's mostly because the AirPods are inside the case and the case is closed, or the AirPods are lost underneath the couch and the volume's just not good enough. Apple recognized that flaw in the latest versions of the AirPods 3 and the AirPod Pro 2. Prior versions don't have that fix. So there's not a lot you can do about it. Sorry about that.
what happens if you erase your device using Find My?
When you erase your device, it immediately locks it, and anybody going to open it or touch it needs to put in your Apple ID information to unlock it. If they don't have that and try to log in a couple of times, it will brick the phone. It will not do anything. You'll press the button and it'll say, this phone has activation lock turned on. Please put in the password or information or return it to an Apple store. And again, if an Apple store gets one like that, they will immediately communicate with the owner and get it back in their hands, no matter where they are in the country. And I've seen Apple stores ship internationally to fix that problem, which I think is just an awesome, like, thanks, Apple, that's super helpful. But if you erase your phone or device and then find it, all you have to do is put in your password and it goes, never mind the erase. Or you can set it up from scratch if you missed that window and it did get wiped.
Is my location private when I'm using Find My?
That's completely up to you. When you're inside Find My here, you've got a little section that says you're sharing your location. If you have other members in your family share, you'll see here each of those members, and clicking on any one of them, we'll do Frank again, will allow you to turn off your location for that person. If you are just on Find My and looking stuff up, nobody's going to specifically see that you're on Find My, but if you're sharing your location while you're in Find My, your location is being shared, but it's being shared even if you're not in Find My. If Frank wants to know where I am right now, it doesn't matter whether I'm in Find My or not. The phone is sharing its location perpetually.
Got it.
Hey, I want to talk to what Mark just put into the chat before we wrap up
Yep.
here. This is super, super important. Mark, you are gold for this suggestion. I want to give you like 3, 4 gold stars. Fantastic. It's the one right there. Yeah, using the Books app. So a lot of people are asking where to put their smart guides. And my initial thought, a lot of people like to drop them into notes. And I will say, I love notes, but I don't like putting attachments, and I really don't like putting PDFs there because it's just too clunky. It doesn't move the way you want it to move. So I've been informing people, put them on a folder in your desktop, share them from your Files app, things like that. And Mark came up with the brilliant solution of using the Books app. How smart was that solution? Well, my next YouTube video that I'll be recording later today is all about how to use the Books app, because I realized that he was right. That is by far the easiest way for the average user to have a library of all of my smart guides in one place. And to show you that I'm not just talking the talk, I'm going to open up Books and I'm going to go into my library here, come into the collections, and show you all of my iPhone smart guides right in one place, and they look fantastic on the phone in this app. So thank you, Mark. Thank you for the suggestion. Got my smart guides with me wherever I am, making it super, super simple for me to get the answers without having to go to a folder on my computer or complicate things. And the Books app syncs between the iPad, the phone, and the computer, making it a phenomenal solution for this problem. So thank you for that, Mark. It was a great, great suggestion.
Good stuff. One more, and then we're going to
Okay.
go. Master of Some Things asks, how do you find your AirTag battery?
So I believe, and obviously I had a mistake on my AirTag information. I believe that you can find it directly from the items section. Let's take a look at it here. No, it does not show it here. That is a great question. I will find out the answer for you if there is one. And please make sure that Frank has your email address, because I'll tell Frank the answer and have him communicate it with you. I don't know. And let me tell you something about not knowing. I love it when people ask me things I don't know the answer to, because now I got something to do this afternoon, something to research and something to figure out, like what I did with the Books app. And also, just earlier today, I had a really stupid issue I had to solve. A client had asked me a question about how do I do a timestamp on a note or anywhere on the computer with a key code. I didn't know how to do it. Now I know how to do it. So if you got a question that I don't have the answer to, thank you. Appreciate it. I'll get you an answer.
Master, send me an email. We'll get your question answered. I can guarantee you within a half hour, Dylan's going to be all over it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to the smart guide for one last time. Make sure anyone who missed it gets it. Now you can add it to your Books app. And if you don't know how to use the Books app, sit tight. I'll have a video in the next week and a half ready for that. This is our YouTube membership. This is our smart guide. So grab that smart guide. You'll have all the information you need to use your Find My app, answering all the questions we talked about today and then some.
Good stuff, Dylan, as always. Thank you.
Fantastic.
I think we're going to be doing a couple hours later next week, next Thursday. Just to
Yeah. Oh, yes. We're going to have to move next Thursday's meeting. Are we doing it at 1 or 2? What did you want to do?
I think 2 o'clock would probably be better.
So for all of you that are in the UK, and thank you for watching, I know it's late for you, we do our best to pick times that everyone can attend. In this case, I got a handyman working in my house all morning, and it's going to be noisy as heck, and I don't want you guys to listen to that. So we're moving it to 2 p.m. Pacific next Thursday.
Cool. All right, guys. Dylan, I think that's a wrap. Until next week.
Let me take last words, if you will.
Absolutely. What do you got?
Awesome. Your technology, like everything in the world, there's two sides to everything, right? You can say nuclear power is good or nuclear power is bad. There's a good side to the internet. There's a bad side to the internet. The good and bad sides of technology are very close. The bad side is it steals your time. It distracts you. It pulls you away from your main focus. And the good side is if you use it properly, it creates time. It gives you more time to do the things that you care about. My job with everything we're doing on these live broadcasts and my videos is to teach you how to get in and out of technology so that you can spend the rest of your time doing what you really care about. So if you care about saving time and using your technology effectively, join us here, join us next week, become a YouTube member. Join us at the MacWhisperer Academy. Again, classes tomorrow. If you want to have that 30-day free trial, you can I think Frank put it in the chat here. But whatever you do, make your technology work for you instead of the other way around. It's exhausting to watch people lose hours every day because they just don't know how to use their phone, their iPad, or their computer. And that is my purpose and job, to make it easier for you to do what you need to do, and then go spend time with the kids and the wife and parents and whoever else you want to be around. So that's what we've got for today's live broadcast, and I want to thank all of you guys for being here and participating and being a part of this amazing Mac Whisperer community. I really appreciate every one of you.